We're here to idea everyone, to fire up your curiosity and connect you with the people and ideas that shape our world. Watch, listen, understand, connect, create. Let's move the human story forward together.
Hello and welcome to The Poetry of Science, a podcast which provides insight into new scientific research via the medium of poetry. I'm your host, Dr. Sam Illingworth, and each week I'll be introducing you to some of the latest scientific findings and showing a selection of science-themed poetry. After all, we could all do with a little bit more poetry in our lives. In this episode, I'll be exploring new research which has found that Kordofan giraffes face local extinction if poaching continues. Towering pillars transect the plains. Jagged silhouettes stretch thin against aching horizons. Chestnut spots loosely patterned like broken reflections of the stars above. Poachers slit their dreams, whispering with greed as their homeland fades from view. Shadows loom in the distance, possibilities, projections, preservations to pull them back. A flickering hope, with every birth erecting new pillars to stretch once more across skies of crimson gold. This poem is inspired by recent research published in the African Journal of Ecology, which has found the critically endangered Kordofan giraffe in Cameroon faces threats from poaching and habitat loss, with fewer than 300 individuals remaining. Giraffes are undergoing a silent extinction across Africa. Several subspecies are now endangered or critically endangered due to threats like poaching, habitat destruction, and civil unrest. Their numbers have declined substantially in recent decades. Specific populations face an even more precarious future. The Kordofan giraffe, for example, is critically endangered with less than 300 left in Cameroon. Their numbers are threatened by poaching and habitat loss. In this study, scientists used computer modelling to predict how the giraffe population might change under different conditions. Researchers wanted to find out if this specific population in Bénoué National Park can survive and what can be done to protect them. They found that with no action, these giraffes have a high chance of becoming extinct within 100 years. Anti-poaching efforts are vital to their survival, and bringing in more female giraffes from elsewhere could also help grow the population. Habitat loss, however, remains a big threat. Even small declines in land quality could doom the giraffes. The researchers found that protecting this park's land and preventing illegal hunting are crucial for ensuring the survival of these critically endangered giraffes. Now that you've heard the science, let me read the poem to you again. Towering pillars transect the plains. Jagged silhouettes stretch thin against aching horizons. Chestnut spots loosely patterned like broken reflections of the stars above. Poachers slit their dreams, whispering with greed as their homeland fades from view. Shadows loom in the distance, possibilities, projections, preservations to pull them back. A flickering hope with every birth, erecting new pillars to stretch once more across skies of crimson gold. In this section of the podcast, I'd like to share a poem written by another poet on a topic related to the science that has been discussed so far. In this episode, I'll be reading The Giraffe by Ronald Lee Perry. Ronald Perry was born in Miami, Florida in 1932. He spent his childhood in Key Largo before earning a master's degree from the University of Miami in 1954. After serving 2 years in the Army, Perry briefly studied at the University of Iowa. He returned to Miami, publishing his first poetry collection, The Fire Nursery, and other poems in 1957. Perry travelled to Southeast Asia where he worked for an engineering firm before moving to the Bahamas for 11 years. He published intermittently, with his final work, In the Smoke, unfinished at the time of his death in 1982. Despite a sparse literary output, Perry's poetic voice deeply influenced the Miami poetry community. The Giraffe, by Ronald Lee Perry. His rage or grace as fabulous, still height can only be interpreted, throat curving to heaven and cannot speak, design built design. The wilderness of other beasts is his, but as he cannot speak, he is all a long voice to heaven, wearing his rage as height. The lion is articulate, elephant or ape, he cannot speak. In consequence, it is wild ascending intervals shape his design. Earth and sunlight make a various and still sea of him, extend him all the world to browse, intervals and images of his grace as height. Thank you for listening to the Poetry of Science.
Thank you very much for being with us for this episode of the ideaXme show. ideaXme is a global platform. Our mission is to move the human story forward by sharing knowledge of the future. You can find us on all major audio networks at www.radioideaXme.com, on YouTube and Vimeo. Please subscribe.